The Super Bowl is the single largest human trafficking event in the United States, and in 2014, it will be hosted in New Jersey. Therefore, the UN Fellows Program of Spring 2013 focused on the local implications of human trafficking.
Police Director Samuel DeMayo of the City of Newark, New Jersey Police Department. We've begun to do research already on past Super Bowls. We've had a group of people that have traveled to the Super Bowl 47 down in New Orleans and dealt with law enforcement here, and then we've done a follow-up with them to see what issues they had there. And it was a lot larger than they expected in New Orleans. And it was a problem that wasn't anticipated and wasn't prepared for. And what was seen was the level of human trafficking that was coming in for the purpose of prostitution stretched out 50 miles beyond the city, the hotels that were out that far. So here, we don't want to run into that same problem.
Yeah, because, it's so close to
exactly.
The Meadowlands. Yeah.
There's so many hotels and hotel corridors in between the Meadowlands and here in Newark, and here going out to New York City. We certainly think it's going to be something that's prevalent, and it's something that we're prepared for now. We're going to be conducting operations throughout the Super Bowl and prior to the Super Bowl to try to deter the human trafficking from coming into this area. We've encountered some cases when we do our prostitution operations of women from other countries, or even women from different parts of this country that are brought here to this area under false pretenses, and they're forced into prostitution, and then they really have no way out. They have no money to get back to their home country or to their home state, and they're really at the mercy of the person that's holding them against their will. Prostitution is probably where we see it the most right now. But we've also seen cases where there's groups that pose as organizations that will provide the funding for your immigration to come here and get you a job and get you your green card. And so people work very hard wherever it is that, whatever country you're in, pay the money to this group, and then once they get here, all of the promises that were made to them are false. They wind up with a job maybe in a McDonald's or a Burger King, and then the organization that's supposed to be there to mentor them and take them through the process just isn't there anymore. There's a variety of charges. We would certainly involve the federal government in it, and the federal government has their own set of charges that they use for this. On a state level, if someone's being held against their will and being forced into prostitution, we have charges such as false imprisonment, soliciting prostitution. There's a host of state charges that we use as well for when a person's being held against their will. But the majority of the time, what we'll do is we'll notify the federal authorities, or the ICE or U.S. Customs, and then there's other federal charges, and that's the better way for us to go.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. DeMayo.
Okay, my pleasure.
Several years ago, it was brought to our attention at Catholic Charities that there were horrific abuses of human trafficking, human bondage, today's modern-day slavery. And we had learned about this in a partnership through the U.S. Conference of Bishops, as well as the Bishop of the Archdiocese of Newark, along with the United States Attorney's Office for Newark, then United States Attorney Chris Christie. And we had learned how prolific human trafficking was in our own area, in the area that makes up the Diocese of Newark, Bergen County, Hudson County, Essex County, and Union County. Once we had learned about this horrific crime against humanity, this abuse of human dignity and human rights, we worked to put together a program to work with the U.S. Conference of Bishops and with the U.S. Attorney's Office as a means of being a safe lodging and participant to bring an end to human trafficking. Several years ago, when we had first started our program, we had learned about the United States Attorney's Office identifying a human trafficking cell and ring in Union County, New Jersey. They were going to raid a house where there were 19 individuals. One young lady was able to escape from the house and call the hotline that had been set up and advertised by the U.S. Attorney's Office. We received notice late in the evening that there was going to be a raid on the house and that we would be getting a phone call to take the 19 individuals in to our housing or protective housing unit and begin assisting them with their human trafficking visa applications, bringing them security and comfort, a comfortable place to stay, giving them stipends for food, and helping them with legitimate job training as they pursued their HT visas, their human trafficking visas. And Catholic Charities was a partner with the New Jersey U.S. Attorney's Office in providing a safe haven for these 19 individuals who had been engaged in sex trafficking mostly. We have to keep in mind that the city of Newark is a locality of 280,000 people. But also the city of Newark is host to one of the largest ports in the world, the Port of Newark. So often reporting is listed as coming from Newark, when in fact people are referring really to the Port of Newark. So in the area around the port, Jersey City, Newark, Elizabeth, because it's such a large port, because it's such an opportunity to smuggle people in and bring people in, this area often becomes the epicenter of human trafficking. The city of Newark and its police department, along with state and federal agencies, as well as other city agencies, work very diligently and regularly to interdict human trafficking. But the reality is human trafficking ends, the victims of human trafficking often end up in suburbs, in communities outside of Newark. I recall an incident in a dollar store in our jurisdiction where the workers were literally chained and locked in the basement of the store overnight. They were not sex traffic victims, but they were labor victims. So yes, the city does work very hard to ensure that there isn't they can stop human trafficking, but the reality is it lists Newark as a significant location in part because it's a port of entry. Though much human trafficking, the victims of human trafficking find themselves in suburbs, in domestic employment, in employment where they are locked in houses and locked in homes, in sex trafficking. And this situation is horrible.